Everything we know is built out of these tiny atomic blocks, and two of them are just completely wild. You've got this extremely soft metal that literally catches fire if it touches water, and this green gas that's straight up toxic. On their own, complete bad news. But they crash together, lock in, and instantly chill out. It's like a chaotic, explosive relationship that suddenly finds perfect peace. They just become salt, a totally safe white crystal. It's just wild to think about. Way back when the Earth was still really young, massive rains just pounded the hard rocks for millions of years. And all that water washed those tiny hidden salt crystals down fast rivers, slowly filling up these giant empty oceans. Deep down in that cool water, tiny bugs and little fishes finally started to kick off, completely relying on that washed-in ocean salt to even exist. Eventually, those brave little animals crawled out of the water and left the ocean behind. But they absolutely still needed it. So we basically just carried the ocean inside of us. Our sweat, our tears, it's all seawater. Inside you right now, salt is acting exactly like a microscopic bouncer, managing water traffic, making sure your cells stay perfectly plump and hydrated. And it's doing some incredibly vital work in your head, too. Your busy brain actually talks to your working muscles using tiny electric sparks. And salt is what makes those bright sparks travel fast enough to work. Without it, you couldn't move at all. But the catch is, we lose this precious crystal every single day. We sweat it out in the heat, we cry it out when we're sad, it just constantly slips away. The early hunters were totally fine, because animal meat is already packed with salt. But then we figured out how to farm. We planted these huge, beautiful green fields of wheat and stopped hunting as much. The problem was, plants just don't have much salt in them. So these new farmers suddenly felt incredibly weak and totally drained. Their bodies were just screaming for this vital crystal. So they had to go track it down in nature. Humans actually watched wild animals lick salt off rocks just to stay healthy, and we figured it out. But it wasn't just lying around in those green farming places. People realized they had to travel incredibly far from home to find it, especially before the terrible freezing danger of winter arrived, when absolutely nothing grew. That winter danger led to this amazing discovery. People realized that rubbing thick salt onto fresh meat literally pulls all the water out, and that kills the invisible bugs that ruin the food, because those bugs need water to survive. That single trick completely changed the world. Suddenly, people could actually store food, survive the dark, freezing winter months, and sail across massive oceans. Because of that, suddenly everyone needed massive piles of it, but getting it was such an intense grind. Desperate people would scoop incredibly heavy seawater into big clay pots. They chopped down whole, thick forests just to build huge, roaring fires, boiling the water away into steam until absolutely nothing but precious white salt remained. Others went looking for it buried deep underground, left behind by ancient oceans that dried up millions of years ago. Men climbed down into these terrifying dark holes, swinging heavy pickaxes at the hard rock. They risked everything in those black spaces, and sometimes the dirt tunnels just collapsed right on top of them. That extreme danger to get it made, salt incredibly rare and valuable. Only powerful rulers had big piles of it, while regular people carefully scraped up tiny grains. It actually turned into a very real form of money. You could literally trade a heavy bag of salt for a big cow or a pile of warm clothes. The powerful Romans were completely obsessed with it. They actually built these wide, flat stone roads specifically to move heavy salt wagons across the land. And they paid their hardworking soldiers with real white salt. That special salt payment was called a salarium, which is exactly where we get our modern word salary. Of course, greedy kings eventually realized they could grow incredibly wealthy off this, so they put a special tax on white salt. Meanwhile, people flocked to any safe salt springs they could find. Little quiet camps turned into giant, noisy cities. If you look at an old map, salt named our oldest towns. Words ending in witch or hale mean salt. But those heavy taxes brought so much pain. Starving families in the cold snow grew furious because they couldn't save their winter food. Secret smugglers started breaking the law, moving salt in the dark just to survive. The angry fight over salt sparked massive wars. In France, the tax was hated so deeply that it fueled a revolution, where a king literally lost his head. Years later, over in India, unfair British rulers controlled all the salt with a greedy tax, making it completely illegal for anyone else to make it. So, a peaceful, quiet man named Gandhi decided to push back. He just started walking toward the beautiful blue ocean, and thousands of brave people started walking right alongside him. They walked for days until they finally reached the water. Gandhi bent down, picked up the salty wet mud, and made his own salt. He purposefully broke the unfair law, and millions of people copied him, making salt and proudly going straight to dark jails. That quiet bravery actually helped India win its grand freedom. Eventually, clever scientists invented huge, powerful drilling machines that changed everything. They pumped hot water deep underground to melt the hard salt, and then giant metal pipes sucked that salty water back up to dry in big factories. It totally ended the need for those terrifying, dark underground mines forever. And then another big invention came along, the electric cold refrigerator. It completely changed the world again. People didn't need thick salt to save their fresh meat anymore because they could just keep it cold. This once golden treasure suddenly turned into a super cheap item sitting quietly on every single dinner table. But smart scientists found a brand new job for all that incredibly cheap salt. They figured out how to neatly split the crystal right back into its two original wild atoms. And they used those atoms to create the hard plastic that basically built our entire big modern world. So today, it's just everywhere. It hides quietly inside soft bread and crunchy potato chips to make them taste totally delicious. But it's also still protecting us. We heavily sprinkle it all over icy winter roads to melt the dangerous snow, keeping cars from crashing. It's definitely still saving human lives today. We do have to be really careful with it now, though. Our bodies only need a tiny little pinch, but modern fast food is completely stuffed with extra hidden salt. And eating too much makes your red blood push incredibly hard against your veins, much like a kinked garden hose building up way too much water pressure. It's a very careful daily balance. We completely take that little white shaker for granted now. We totally forget the incredibly heavy human cost of the ancient wars, the desperate smugglers, and those dark, collapsing mines. The Earth has plenty of it, waiting for everyone now. The hard, dangerous struggle for salt is finally over. But the next time you're sad or sweating it out on a hot day, just think about it. Every single tear you cry shares a really deep history. It shares the exact recipe of the ancient deep sea and the exact same struggle of those early hungry farmers. We faithfully carry all of that human history completely inside us. It really was the completely silent boss of human history. This totally invisible thread began as a simple biological need, and it literally forced us to conquer nature. It makes you wonder what else is silently shaping us right now. Anyway, if you had fun wandering through this wild history with me, please go ahead and hit that like button, share this with someone who'd enjoy it, and definitely subscribe for more.